Welcome to this online training on preparing for project closure. And congratulations for having implemented a cross-border cooperation project in this challenging period. We hope you have managed to overcome difficulties and to reach your expected results. As you know, the project partners, Anna, Boris and Carla, have been cooperating to improve the water quality in their regions. Now, 6 months before the end of their project implementation period, it is time to focus on preparing for the project closure. In this last period, you will need to be prepared for legal requirements. You need to monitor closely your project and to sustain and disseminate your results. What does it mean to be prepared? Well, first of all, the lead beneficiary should ensure that all project partners are fully aware of the end date for the project implementation period and of the deadlines for project activities and eligible costs. This has possibly been amended since project start. All project partners should be well informed about the closing procedures and schedule and of their obligations in terms of reporting, based on your program requirements. Remember also to keep enough time between the last project activities and the official deadline for implementation to prepare for the final reporting. You will need time to collect the final indicators for outputs and results, to collect documents from all project partners, including outputs such as publications, to draw up the final report, and to communicate on its content with partners. We'll go more into the details of the final reporting in our next video, but at this stage, please keep in mind that to ensure a smooth project closure, in line with program requirements, we recommend that the lead beneficiary develops and forwards to all partners a clear timetable, specifying who does what and by when.
Dear Boris, as you know, according to our grant contract, the end of our project implementation period will be in 6 months' time. You will find attached a detailed timeline and responsibilities for the project closure process. How are you doing with your final activities?
Good question. Monitoring is an ongoing activity throughout the project, but even more importantly so, during the last months of the project. You need to know whether you are well on track to close the project as planned, whether you need to speed up some activities, or whether you will run out of time. Let's see how Boris is doing.
Hi Carla. Thanks for your reminder on the project deadline. Actually, we could not yet carry out the activities related to the plantation of buffer plants on riverbanks. First, we got delayed because of the COVID-related restrictions, and then the season for plantation was over. To be able to plant, we need to wait for the next autumn, but this is 3 months after the project end date. What can we do?
Well, this is a shame, as it is an important component of our project. I'll see if I can request a 6 months extension to the program, explaining the situation. I'll check first with Anna that this is okay with her.
Remember that any request for project extension needs to be anticipated, as it takes time for the program to review the request and, if approved, to prepare and sign the project addendum. Keep in mind also that, depending on your program timeline, it may not be possible to extend your project duration anymore. So, monitor closely your activities and your results, but also your budget. You may have some resources left that you could use for additional activities, such as further dissemination activities, contributing still to your project purpose. There may be a need for a last budget modification to ensure that all expenditure is eligible and to maximize the use of the funds. Here again, the request to the program bodies takes some time, so monitor timely so as not to miss your chance for a final adjustment of budget or activities. The last months of the project are usually very busy. This is a period when to focus particularly on sustaining and disseminating project results. How will you make sure that the results will survive the project? that the conditions will be there to support long-lasting results. Sustainability is built throughout project implementation. Still, in the last months, you should check and ensure that the ownership and future maintenance of all project outputs, including equipment and infrastructure, are clear. This implies in particular checking your partnership agreements, amending them if needed before the project ends, and maybe preparing some transfer of assets to some non-partner organizations, if needed. Among your project results, you've also most likely produced some knowledge, maybe some guidelines or training material. It is important to make this capital of knowledge and materials accessible to other groups outside the project and to encourage them to use and transfer these further, even after the project ends. Now you know what you've achieved, so let the world know about it, or at least those that can have an interest in or benefit from your results. Discuss with your partners the key results and materials that should be disseminated and the best ways to disseminate them. Let's see how our project partners Anna, Boris and Carla are doing.
Okay, earlier in the project, we made some plans about communication and capitalization, including target groups and tools for dissemination. So, where are we now?
Well, we've organised some information events. We've posted regular information about our project on the website and social media.
Yes, but is this enough for others to really benefit from our experience of restoring vegetation on the riverbanks and decreasing the use of fertilisers?
No, not really. We should still develop practical recommendations based on the tools and methodologies tested by our project, so these can possibly be used by others on a wider scale. We need to draft and promote these before we close the project.
Yes, we could promote these directly via the networks of municipalities and environmental NGOs. We know they're interested in better addressing river water pollution.
We could also transfer our training material on fertiliser measurements to the Farmers Association. I'll discuss with them how they could further use these in the future.
In disseminating results, think about what could be useful to others. Be visual in your material. Think about the human story. How did you change the lives of your beneficiaries? You want your achievements to be remembered and to be of use as widely as possible. Remember to agree on the main messages so as to speak with one voice. This is a joint project. Typical dissemination activities include conferences and exhibitions, face-to-face or virtual, direct mailings, postings on the social network, leaflets, booklets. In the project's last few months, you may also be launching a final evaluation. This may be a requirement and may have been planned already, or it may have become particularly relevant to understand why your project has achieved such results and to learn lessons from your project. Even if you're not carrying out an evaluation as such, it is a good period to reflect about your experience of cross-border cooperation. Try to draw lessons for yourself and your organization, such as lessons on project financial management or on communication. Keep these end-of-project recommendations and disseminate internally the good practices that you've identified during the project. Think also about how you will sustain the cooperation with your partners. The aim of the program is to support long-lasting cooperation. You may have signed a cooperation agreement among yourselves, but concretely, what will you do to keep alive the relationship established?
We've developed the procedures and templates for cross-border exchange of data and measurements and used these during our project. Could we agree to keep exchanging information regularly after the project ends? For instance, for the buffer plans, it would be good to know if they've had the expected effect.
Yes, indeed. We will only find out in 1 or 2 years. We should keep sharing experience on these practices.
We'll be doing regular measurements anyway on each side of the border, so maybe after the project ends, we could have online meetings twice a year to exchange on these?
Very good. We hope that you're on a good track to ensure sustainable project results and long-lasting partnerships. And we wish you a successful preparation of your project closure. Let's have a look now, in our next video tutorial, at more details on the project final reporting and at the remaining legal obligations after the project ends.